I knew something was wrong the moment he sat in my chair. Not a chair like mine. My chair. Same desk, same monitors, same coffee mug, moved slightly to the left like someone had already claimed the space, and he just looked at me like I was the one in the wrong place. "Hey," he said casually, "you must be Daniel." That was the first red flag, because nobody ever knew my name on day one. I've been working at this company for almost 4 years. Mid-sized logistics firm. Nothing glamorous, but stable. Good salary, predictable work, same routines every day. And my position? It wasn't entry level. I had to fight for it. Late nights, fixing other people's mistakes, taking calls no one wanted, slowly earning trust. Eventually, I became the guy people relied on. At least, that's what I thought. "Sorry," I told him, forcing a smile. "I think you're in the wrong spot." He didn't move. Instead, he leaned back slightly, completely relaxed. "No, I don't think so," he said. Mark told me to sit here." Mark, my boss. That was red flag number 2. I laughed a little, like it had to be some misunderstanding. "Yeah, Mark wouldn't do that," I said. "This is my workstation." The guy finally stood up, but not like someone apologizing, more like someone entertaining me. "Oh, right," he said. "Temporary overlap. My bad." Temporary overlap? That phrase stuck in my head immediately. He grabbed his backpack, walked 2 desks down, and sat at an empty spot. But here's the thing. That desk had been empty for months. We weren't hiring, at least, no one told me. I sat down slowly, trying to ignore the weird feeling creeping up my spine. Something wasn't right. I logged in, opened my dashboard. Everything looked normal. Emails, reports, tasks. But then I noticed something strange. Some of my folders were opened, not edited, not changed, just opened, like someone had been browsing through my work. I turned slightly and looked at the new guy. He was already typing. Fast. Too fast for someone who just started. And his screen, it looked familiar, because he was working on one of my active reports. That's when I got up and went straight to Mark's office. I didn't knock. "Hey," I said, trying to keep it calm. "Who's the new guy?" Mark barely looked up from his laptop. "Oh, that's Ryan," he said casually. "He's joining the team." "Joining the team?" "That's great," I said slowly. "But why is he sitting at my desk?" Mark sighed like I was the problem. "It's just temporary," he said. "We're reorganizing things." There it was again. Temporary, reorganizing. Vague words, no real answers. "Okay," I said. "And why does he already have access to my projects?" That finally got his attention. Mark looked up, and for a split second, he hesitated. "He needs to get up to speed," he said. "You're one of our top performers. Makes sense, right?" It should have made sense, but it didn't, because no one gets full access on day one. Not here, not ever. I walked back to my desk, but now everything felt different. Ryan looked up at me and smiled. Not a friendly smile. More like he knew something I didn't. "Hey," he said. "Quick question." I didn't respond right away. "What?" I said. "This client report," he continued, pointing at his screen. "You always format it this way?" Always. That word again, like he'd been watching me for a while. "Yeah," I said carefully. "Why?" He shrugged. "Just seems inefficient." I stared at him. I've been doing this job for years, and this guy, day one, is already critiquing my workflow, but I let it go. For now. Because something bigger was forming in the background. I could feel it. Over the next few days, things got worse. Ryan wasn't just learning. He was mirroring me. Same reports, same clients, same schedules, even the way I structured emails. He started copying it. At first, I thought maybe Mark told him to shadow me. But no. No one said anything. No official introduction, no explanation. It was like he just appeared. Then came the first real problem. Friday morning, Mark called me into his office. His tone was different this time, serious, cold. "Close the door," he said. That's never a good sign. I sat down. "What's going on?" I asked. He turned his laptop toward me. On the screen was an email thread, a big client, one of my clients. And in that thread, there was a mistake, a serious one, wrong pricing data. If it went through, the company could lose a lot of money. "What is this?" Mark asked. I frowned. "I don't know," I said. "That's not my final version." He leaned forward. "It was sent from your account." My stomach dropped. "That's not possible," I said immediately. But even as I said it, I remembered something. 2 days ago, I left my desk for about 10 minutes. Coffee break. Ryan was still there, alone, at his desk, near mine. I looked back at the screen, the formatting, the structure. It looked like mine, but something felt off. Small details. Subtle differences. "I didn't send this," I said again. Mark didn't look convinced. "Well, it came from your login," he replied. "So you need to explain it." "Explain what? Something I didn't do?" "I think someone accessed my account," I said carefully. Mark leaned back. "And who would do that?" I didn't answer right away, but my eyes, they shifted slightly toward the glass wall, toward the office floor, toward Ryan. Mark followed my gaze, then looked back at me, and for the first time, he smirked. "Be careful," he said quietly. "That sounds like an accusation." That's when I realized something. This wasn't just a mistake. This wasn't just bad luck. I was being set up. And the worst part? I wasn't even sure if Mark was on my side, or if he was part of it. I walked out of the office, heart pounding. Ryan looked up again. Same calm expression, same knowing smile. "Everything good?" he asked. And that's when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. On his desk was a printed document, my report, the real version, the one I never sent. I froze. Not completely, not in a dramatic way, just enough that everything around me felt delayed, like my brain needed a second to catch up with what my eyes were seeing. Because there it was, on Ryan's desk, my report, the correct one, the one with the right pricing, the one I never sent. I walked toward him slowly, trying not to look like I was about to lose it. "Hey," I said. "What's that?" Ryan glanced down at the paper like he forgot it was there. "Oh, this?" he said casually. "Just reviewing some materials." I reached out and tapped the page. "That's my report." He didn't deny it, didn't panic, didn't even look surprised. Instead, he leaned back slightly, studying me. "Yeah," he said. "I know." That answer hit harder than if he tried to lie, because it wasn't defensive. It was confident. "Where did you get it?" I asked. Ryan shrugged. "Shared drive." "No," I said immediately. "That version isn't on the shared drive." Now he smiled. Not wide, not obvious, just enough. "You sure about that?" I didn't respond, because suddenly, I wasn't. The truth is, I kept a local copy before finalizing anything. Always. It was my habit, my safety net, and only after triple checking I'd upload it. But this version? This was the pre-final one, the one only I had, or at least, I thought I did. "Look," Ryan said, lowering his voice a bit, "you should probably focus on fixing your situation right now." "My situation?" I repeated. "Yeah," he said, nodding toward Mark's office. "Big mistake like that. Not a great look." I stared at him. "You know I didn't send that." Ryan tilted his head. "Does it matter?" he asked quietly. That's when something clicked. Not fully, but enough. This wasn't random. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was controlled, planned, and I was already behind. I went back to my desk and sat down. My hands felt cold, but my head, it started working fast. Faster than it had in a long time. Step 1. Check the logs. Every action in our system gets recorded. Logins, file access, edits, sends. If someone used my account, there had to be a trace. I opened the system panel and started digging. Timestamp of the email, user activity, IP logs. And there it was. The email was sent from my account at 10:42 a.m. But here's the thing. At 10:42, I wasn't at my desk. I checked my phone, calendar, coffee purchase, 10:39 a.m. I was downstairs, so unless I somehow developed the ability to send emails remotely without touching my laptop, someone else did it. I scrolled further. Login session, active, no new login detected, which meant they didn't need to log in. They were already in. I slowly turned my head. Ryan was typing again, focused, calm, like nothing was happening. But now I noticed something else, something small, my keyboard, the angle. I always tilt it slightly to the right. It's a habit. Weird, I know. But right now, it was perfectly straight. Someone had used it. Recently. I stood up again. This time I didn't go to Mark, not yet, because I wasn't ready. Instead, I walked past Ryan's desk, slowly, and as I passed him, I glanced at his screen, and that's when my chest tightened. He wasn't just working on my reports. He had access to my email. My inbox was open. On his screen, I stopped, turned. "Why do you have my email open?" I asked. This time. He didn't answer immediately. He clicked something, closed the window, then looked at me. "You're overreacting," he said. "Am I?" I replied. A few people nearby started paying attention. Not obvious, but enough. Ryan sighed, like I was being difficult. Then he stood up, and that's when everything shifted. "All right," he said, a bit louder now. "You want to do this here?" My stomach dropped again. "Do what?" I asked. He looked around the office, then back at me. "Act like you don't know what's going on." Silence. "What are you talking about?" I said. Ryan reached into his bag, pulled out something, a folder, and placed it on his desk. "Go ahead," he said. "Open it." I didn't move. "Seriously," he continued, "if you're going to accuse me, at least look at everything first." My heart was pounding now, loud, heavy, but I stepped forward, opened the folder. Inside were printed emails, documents, internal reports, all with my name on them. At first, I didn't understand. Then I started reading, and that's when the ground completely disappeared under me, because those weren't just any emails. They were messages, sent from my account. Over the past 3 months, messages I had never seen, never written, never sent. Different clients, different numbers, small mistakes, tiny adjustments, nothing big enough to trigger alarms, until now. I looked up slowly, my mouth dry. "This is fake," I said. Ryan didn't react. "Is it?" he asked calmly. Then he pointed to one of the pages. "Check the timestamps," he said. "Check the system." I already knew what I'd find, because if today was real, then this was real too, which meant only one thing. This didn't start this week. It didn't start when Ryan showed up. It started long before that. And somehow, I never noticed. I felt something shift inside me. Not panic, not fear, something worse. Doubt. About everything. About my work, my memory, my routine. Had I really missed this? Or was someone rewriting my entire history? I looked at Ryan one more time. "Who are you?" I asked. He held my gaze. No smile this time. And finally, he gave me a real answer. Honestly, he said, I'm the guy they brought in to replace you. Silence. But not because you made one mistake, he added. He tapped the folder. Because you've been making them for months. I shook my head. That's not true. Ryan leaned in slightly, lowered his voice. Then prove it. I swallowed. Hard. Because now, this wasn't just about one email. This was about my entire career, and I was already losing. Behind us, I heard a door open. Mark's office. Daniel, he called out. I didn't turn right away, because deep down, I already knew. Whatever was about to happen next wasn't going to be in my favor. Daniel. Mark's voice cut through the office like a knife. Calm, controlled, too controlled. I closed the folder slowly. My hands weren't shaking anymore. That was the strange part. A few minutes ago, I felt like everything was collapsing. Now, everything felt clear. I turned around. Mark was standing there watching me. Not angry, not surprised, just waiting. Come to my office, he said. I didn't argue, didn't look at Ryan, didn't say anything. I just walked. As I stepped inside, I noticed something small, something I had ignored before. There was already paperwork on the table, printed, prepared, like this meeting was planned. Sit, Mark said. I sat. He closed the door, slowly. Then he took the folder from my hands. Flipped through it like he already knew every page. I assume Ryan showed you everything, he said. I nodded. And? He asked. I looked at him, straight. I didn't send those emails, I said. No hesitation, no excuses. Just the truth. Mark sighed. Not loudly, just enough to show disappointment. Daniel, he said, leaning back. We've worked together a long time. That sentence hit harder than anything else, because I knew what comes after that. We trusted you, he continued. There it was. But I didn't do it, I said again. Mark tapped the folder. The system says you did. The system can be wrong. Mark shook his head slightly. Not like this. Silence. Then I leaned forward. Check the logs again, I said. Not just the emails, the sessions. Mark didn't move. There's something off, I continued. Those emails were sent while I wasn't at my desk. That got his attention. Barely, but enough. And how would you prove that? He asked. I didn't answer immediately. Because I was thinking. Fast. Then I remembered something. Something small. Something stupid. The cameras. We had security cameras in the office. Not everywhere, but enough to cover the main floor. If you check the cameras, I said slowly, you'll see I wasn't there. Mark looked at me. Really looked this time. Then, for the first time, he hesitated. That was it. That tiny pause. That was all I needed. Pull the footage, I said. Mark leaned back again, crossed his arms. That won't be necessary, he replied. And just like that, everything clicked. Not partially, not maybe, completely. You already know, I said quietly. Mark didn't respond. You already checked, I continued. Still nothing. And you didn't say anything? Now his expression changed. Slightly. Not guilt. Not exactly. More like annoyance. This isn't going to help you, he said. No, I replied. But it explains everything. Silence filled the room. Heavy. You needed a reason, I said. To replace me. Mark exhaled slowly. This isn't personal, he said. I almost laughed. 4 years, I said. And this isn't personal? You got comfortable, he replied. The company is changing. There it was. The real reason. Not mistakes, not performance, convenience. And Ryan? I asked. Mark shrugged. He's more aligned with where we're going. I stared at him. So you set me up? Mark didn't answer directly. We built a case, he said. a case, like I was some problem to eliminate. You used my account, I said. No, Mark replied calmly. We used your access. That sentence was insane. You left your station open, multiple times, he continued. That's a security violation. I felt it. That shift again. Because technically, he wasn't wrong. But you exploited it, I said. Mark didn't deny it. Instead, he said something worse. You made it easy. Silence. Long. Heavy. Then I leaned back in my chair. And for the first time since this started, I smiled. Just a little. Mark noticed. What? He asked. I looked at him, calm. You made one mistake, I said. Mark frowned. And what's that? He asked. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and placed it on the table. I knew something was off 3 days ago, I said. That wasn't entirely true, but it didn't matter. So I started recording. Mark's expression didn't change immediately, but his eyes did. You're lying, he said. I tapped the screen. Audio file, time-stamped, multiple recordings, not just today, snippets, conversations, Ryan, Mark, casual, careless, talking about transition, about timing, about phasing me out, and one line, clear as day. Ryan's voice. So we just use his login again? Silence. Mark didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even try to deny it, because he knew it was over. You should have just fired me, I said quietly. No anger, no shouting, just truth. This, I added, tapping the folder, this is fraud. Mark finally spoke. What do you want? He asked. Straight to the point, of course. I leaned forward slightly. No report on my record, I said. Severance. Full compensation. And a written reference. Mark watched me carefully. And the recordings? He asked. I shrugged. They disappear. Silence. Then, slowly, Mark nodded. All right, he said. Just like that. 4 years. Reduced to a negotiation. 2 weeks later. I walked out of that building for the last time. No goodbyes, no announcements. Ryan didn't even look at me. But as I passed his desk, I stopped for a second. He looked up, and I said one thing. Be careful. He frowned. They used me, I said. They'll use you too. Then I walked away. 3 months later, I heard the company was under investigation, internal audit, external review, something about unauthorized system access. Funny how that works. I never sent anything, never exposed them. But things like that, they don't stay hidden forever. And as for me, I got a better job, better pay, better people. But more importantly, I never leave my computer unlocked anymore, not even for a second, because sometimes it only takes 10 minutes for someone to try to erase 4 years of your life.